When you feel like perhaps there's so many things you've got to have before you can be happy, when it's like that, it's like the door is jammed and you keep pressing against it. And you can press, and maybe every once in a while it will pop open, but many times you'll just jam it worse, right? And the real trick with a stuck door is to relax. Back up a little bit, take the pressure off, do a little, maybe it'll open. This is this technique that comes when you recognize your true nature, rather than you are depending on your will and your effort to make it happen. Now, I definitely have enjoyed will and effort, and maybe you have enjoyed it too, because you do something and you go, I did it. But then the pressing and the wanting are the most enduring part of that whole process, and so on to the next thing. There is no rest. Turn to the inner self, awaken to that, and then do out of that what is yours to do. Today, we're finishing the book, or at least I'm finishing my talks about the book called Practical Metaphysics. Practical Metaphysics is a great and clear way of discerning what is Unity's message. And he does a really good job of it. So if you read the book, you'll get a ton out of it. And I've just read it again for the second or third time, and I just want to say I invite you to do it. I'm also going to digress from the way he says things, because I'm kind of on this different way of talking in the hopes of having us have a different way of experiencing. And it really comes out of the non-dual tradition, the non-dual tradition that starts with, whose grandfather right now is Ramana Maharshi. And Ramana Maharshi basically asks you to do one thing. He doesn't really care about outcomes like Unity has for a century, like practical outcomes. He basically is asking you to do one thing, and that one thing is to realize your true nature, which is essentially what Unity is about, but he makes that the only thing. And from that place of recognizing your basic nature, then all your problems become smaller, right? And he takes kind of this attitude that Hafiz, this Sufi poet from a long time ago, takes. And I love this little, I must like this book, huh? And here's one of many. It has not rained for many days. The wells in most eyes look drought-stricken. Thus, friends are not easy to find in this barren place, where most everyone has become ill from guarding nothing. On this primal caravan, careers in cities can appear real in this intense desert heat. But I say to my close ones, don't get lost in them. It has not rained light for days. Look, most everyone is diseased from making love to nothing. And so, while we are very practical being grown up in this society, there have been people always through every society, but in religious traditions, those who've actually attained awakening have often done it with the idea that this is all I'm doing. I don't really care about anything else. And I'm hoping that we can take a blended approach from the idea of things doing practical, developing spirituality so you'll have a happy, easy life, to move, which I think is good, because I definitely want to have that. And not making it about being an ascetic, where all you do is seek God and never have fun, to come to this place of doing this non-dual awakening so that when you come back to the looking, you're not still in the desert. That your career and all that is added unto you. You have sought the kingdom of heaven, and all that has been added unto you, rather than seeking the kingdom of heaven with the idea that when I get enough, I'm going to come over here and do this. I'm going to awaken. I'm going to give my time to that. And I think the process would go faster, better, if we say, do some of both, of course, but say, in this moment, let's go straight to awakening, and then let's approach prayer, meditation, and how to live my life with this understanding. And the basic understanding that we're trying to achieve here is that your very essence is God. And I don't like the word God, so let me use the word I'd prefer, which is presence. The presence is present as you. There's not like you're a piece of it. It is you. Because if you get a piece of God, you got all of it. So we're going to shift it from being I'm a spark of the divine. In other words, you're just that. You are that. And it's been in the tradition of Christianity and Judaism for a very long time, just as it is in this Islamic tradition. In this very core of the teachings, there are hints about what you should be rather than do. And that being you should be is awake to your divine nature. And the way you can do it is to recognize from the hints inside the Bible that says, who says I should be sent? Who's talking to me? Moses is in the doing phase, and he turns to the burning bush. He says, who shall I say is sending me? Because he's nervous. He's a little chicken. And he doesn't speak well, and he's going to have to talk to the Pharaoh and tell him to do something that's not going to be very popular with the Pharaoh. So he's going, I got it. So who should I say is telling me to go? And the burning bush says, I am. I am that I am. And it turns out when you say I am, you're doing the same thing. You're proclaiming, though you may not realize it, that you're proclaiming your own core. This is me. I'm doing this, the I of me. And in the scripture, you see that the I of you and the I of the presence is the same I. We both self-identify as I am. This is what we are, but when we think there's an other out there that is separate from us, then the power of affirmations and prayer is so much weaker. Because you're still supplicating. And people, the disciples, said to Jesus, how come we pray and it doesn't happen? He says, well, you pray amiss. You don't do it right. Because you come from lack and need and want and not from presence. Then you don't ask. And when he said ask, it really means more like demand. You don't claim what you want. You don't claim because you're in lack. You're in doing, like, I got to make this happen. Now, if anybody knows me very well, I hope none of you do, you'll know that this has been my modality. I'm completely, I don't want to brag, but fairly ferocious about getting what I want. I'm push, pull, cajole, sneak, plot, scheme, all that stuff. I'm good at it. And I've been doing it a long time, so I should be good at it. And I intend to win when I start. Most people don't know that about me. They think I'm kind of nice. But this is another approach. And that other approach goes like this. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and let all that stuff be added to you in its time, essentially. Don't press, don't push. Open yourself to the experience. Rest in the divine presence as you, and see if you're not already full, but where the missing and the unfolding is happening, it will come out of the deeper insights that come from the one presence that is manifest as you. That deeper insight about what it means you won't have to press, push, cajole, press all the time to make it happen. You can sit and invite it to happen by simply allowing it to happen. It doesn't mean you don't move your feet or say the words you need to say or think ever again. But you don't do it from the sense of lack, from the I'm not enough, I've got to have it, this is the way I want it. I want this and I'm going to make it happen. This is turning first to the kingdom or to your divine nature, to your I am presence. You move to that, and out of the wisdom of that, the very direction you should take, the very clarity about what you should, I won't say you should so much as what is being called from you and for you. From that place, you move toward where wisdom would say, go. And you achieve that which wisdom would say, have. And you would be, according to your nature, your presence, rather than according to what you feel like you're missing. Because when you're pressing over here, and when you're angry or afraid that you're not going to get it, or you feel like perhaps there's so many things you've got to have before you can be happy. Anybody recognize this condition? When it's like that, it's like the door is jammed and you keep pressing against it. And you can press, and maybe every once in a while it will pop open, but many times you'll just jam it worse, right? And the real trick with a stuck door is to relax. Back up a little bit, take the pressure off. Do a little, and maybe it'll open, right? And this is this technique that comes when you recognize your true nature, rather than you're depending on your will and your effort to make it happen. Now, I definitely have enjoyed will and effort. And maybe you have enjoyed it too. Maybe it's felt really good. Because you do something and you go, I did it. It's not worked out for me that way. Have you noticed that if you press and make it happen, when you made it happen, there might be a moment where you go, I did it, but then the pressing and the wanting are the most enduring part of that whole process, and so on to the next thing. There is no rest for the wicked, right? Turn to the inner self, awaken to that, and then do out of that what is yours to do. And this sense of peace and this sense of self-acceptance can be going on even if you haven't accomplished, because you start from self-acceptance rather than you start from I don't have it and I need it to be okay. You start from the place of fullness because you're in the presence as the presence, and there is no lack in that presence. When you're residing there, there isn't really anything you have to do. It is unfolding and new things are happening and you become more and stronger and better, and all that happens, but it doesn't come from lack and need and insufficiency. This is why I want to talk about metaphysics from this place first, rather than from the details of how to do it. And he does a really good job in there, and he doesn't disagree with what I'm saying. It's a matter of how many pages he allots to each. And I'm giving most of mine today to this. You with me? So the fastest way, according to Ramana Maharshi, to wake up to who you really are, and to therefore grok the divine nature, the whole experience of existence, to get that the fastest way is not by doing, but by being. And not by trying so hard, but by relaxing and letting it come to you. So many years ago, I went to an ashram in Asheville, North Carolina called Aham. And Aham's stated purpose is to help you awaken through the Ramana Maharshi tradition. But you know what happened to me was I took my technique into the place where it didn't really fit. I remember the question, of course, is who am I, or what am I? That's the question that they leave you with at Aham. And also Ramana Maharshi did. But leave you with that, who am I, what am I? And my way of getting was to meditate, and so hard that I was trying to reverse my sight and my eyeballs hurt. You've heard the phrase, skillful means, haven't you? That ain't it. In awakening, it's much more about allowing. Allow yourself to rest really, really deeply, to feel the stillness that is in you, because that stillness is that presence, right? That absolute quiet that can be in you. And sometimes it works like this. You know, you're sitting and you're fairly quiet and a thought arises and you go, go away. I let go, whatever. Come back to the stillness. Let it go. And step slowly without effort. By not efforting, you move deeper and deeper. And if you effort, then you go back up, even though, damn it. You know, it's like, just relax. It may take some time. It may not happen the first time, may never happen. You're good with that. You're doing what is the path to getting there. And then you're essentially looking to see, to feel, to identify with that which is aware, even when you're in this resting state that is aware. It was still the awareness that was over here in the active phase. It's still the awareness when you were a child. It's still the awareness as a young adult, as an older person. When you die, it's still there. That whole thing, it's still there, this awareness. And that becomes the I am that you're looking for. And you don't strain to get there. Don't try to make your eyeballs hurt to look inward. Just be that. And let it come. Let it come. Don't make it come. Because it's like a trap door. It will open when it opens. But go deeper by being still and know that I am. Be still and know I am. And does that not mean be still and no effort? Just show up, but take the effort out of it. And then that presence, which has always been there, an issue, is not very far away. So it isn't like you got to go, like I've gone to India 3 times. You don't have to do that. I was talking to Michael yesterday. We went to lunch, and then we were talking about blah, 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 blah. We get to Jack Cornfield, blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, I spent a 30-day there, 30-day meditation retreat. He goes, you really have tried to do everything, haven't you? Yeah. But that was also, it was a very troubled time for me, so I didn't have that great presence. I just really got to feel my own feelings. That was what I got there. But this can happen to you in this today. You don't have to travel. You don't have to meditate all day. It could happen to you now. And the trick is to deepen into that experience so that it becomes more permanent with you, and you look out upon the world from the awareness that you're aware, and now you're sitting in the seat of awareness, which is the same as you're sitting in the I am presence, which is the same as you're sitting as God. You're now the Buddha inside your own experience. And now, if you sit in this for a while, some idea may come to you. Whatever it is. And you take that awareness, and maybe you let it grow in you and become full. Not like you got to run out and do it, but just let it become full. And then you can, from the place of being in that awareness, because you now listened, because you listened in silence, you might hear something other than your own ego talking. You're now in this place, and perhaps you send it out as a, let it be. Let that be. You agree and you project out into the world, let it be. And then maybe to remind yourself, so you don't fall back into the hard way, you say it as a word. an affirmation of some sort. And you know, affirmations typically come in the form of positive, present way of speaking about something, because now you're claiming it. You're not asking for it. You're not trying to get God to give it to you. You're not doing the hard, heavy lifting. You're just claiming it. What does anybody want here? Let's say it's health. Rather than worrying about, am I doing it right? Just claim, I am healthy. And see how that lands. If it agrees with the primary thought that came to you, the inspiration that came to you in this, and the feeling state that feels right, and then you declare it, okay. It's a beautiful way to go. And you're not pressing because you're not in lack. You've already experienced that you're healthy right then. The health is radiant from you, not forced into being. And so it could be with relationship as well. You want to love. And so many of us start the pursuit of love from the I don't have it. And Match is really glad you do, because you go scanning the world, scanning, where is the perfect one? I must have, I need, I want. Oh, it's so seductive with that we have made the world this way, haven't we? Our advertising completely says you need something and you are not adequate by yourself. And if you ever had any doubt, well, all right, let's turn it up until you do what we want you to do. Instead, try this. When you realize that you are the presence, that I am, and you can sit in the wholeness of being who you really are, then the outcome of that, when it comes to relationship, is that you love without need. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm sitting on this side and I see somebody who loves without need, I'm either completely entranced or I'm running over here for somebody who's going to need me. And then I have that experience. Need meeting need until it doesn't work. But over here, if your presence, if you are the presence and by your very nature you love, then perhaps there's a person that meets your preferences on the other side, but it doesn't really matter because you're now in the fullness of your own experience. You're in the fullness of being love itself. And I know this is a big ask, because if you're like me, you have thought you had to make it happen. But if you're over here, you're already full. You're full with yourself. And you give love, radiate love, really more precisely. You radiate because that's just who you are. And you've met people like this. Like, what's with them? They're just a beautiful being. I don't get a sense they miss anything from that, or that they're trying to make anything happen. It just radiance, right? And if you think about Jesus, which we always like to do when we're talking about, well, is this real? When you think about Jesus, what do you think? You think he went, God, I got to love these people, or I'm not going to get my ministry off the ground. No one will remember my name if I don't do something special. No, it was more of an outcropping of his presence. So he could do things that appeared miraculous, not because he was forcing it or he was using heavy lifting or the labor of his own affirmations. He was really just expressing himself. And I think, as I talked at the very first Sunday that we were doing this book, here's an affirmation you can use, which is really a universal affirmation, which Jesus also used, which is, I am the resurrection and the life. But not so much he made that true by saying it, but he revealed that to be true when he said it, and then lived it. because it was an outcropping of who he is. Are you with me? So let's, when we go about creating the world we want to see, rather than doing it from, oh, I hate this, or I need it to be different, or I wish it was something else, rather than that, let's start every time we do prayer, or especially we're in this state of, let's say we're in this state of anxiety or something, just come over here and sit until that just isn't your motivating thing, that you're now in this place. And granted, almost all of us came to New Thought and into this church in particular because something wasn't working someplace in your life at some point. And this looked like a better path. And now I'm looking to point to, perhaps you'll see, an even better path. One that is based on you starting from you being God. I hate that word. You being the presence, not some other. It turns out it is you. And from that place, let wisdom guide you into your level of direction in such a way that it unfolds according to thy will, not my will. And let go of the pressing and the needing it to be different, and see if this path might not be very satisfying to you. Okay, let's practice. So we're going to sit, and we're going to relax, and we're going to trust that deep and profound presence that we are will become obvious to us. So just look within at who's having the experience of sitting in this chair, of thinking, of feeling. Who's having the experience? You're not the thoughts or the feelings, but you have them. Who's having the experience? And bring your attention to that which is aware. And only that, let that be the only thing you're looking for now. Don't strain though, just rest. Don't strain, just rest. Don't strain, just look and rest. Who's having this experience? I am. Feel the I am. It's always there. You don't have to go get it. It was there when you woke up. It's there right now. It was there when you were born. Pay attention to that. This is your home. And this is who you really are. The very thing that seems so far away turns out to be hidden inside you as you. Let's begin and end our day with this awareness. I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.